Are you having trouble finding the business licenses that you need for your business and having trouble actually applying for them? If so, be sure to stick around as we're going to go through both of those today in today's video. How's it going, everybody? My name is Connor, and welcome to the From Fault to Freedom channel, where we help provide the tools and the knowledge that you need to accomplish your goals and succeed in entrepreneurship. If any of that interests you, be sure to click the subscribe button below as we have new videos out each week. Now, there's a lot of questions that I see on the internet on, do you actually need a business license to do business? And the short answer is no. There's actually no such thing as a business license. You can go and sell anything. Retail arbitrage is a big thing. You do not need a license to actually have a business. However, depending on your state and your locality, you may need to have special permits or collect certain taxes in order to do business of a particular sort in a particular category for your city or your state. Now, every state, county, and municipality all has their own set of rules for businesses. And guess what? You have to comply with every one of them. And this is where a lot of businesses have trouble, is they need to try and stay compliant with all these different rules, with all these different governing bodies, and all they're trying to do is just make a living, but they have to make sure that they get their paperwork in, that they have the correct permits and certificates so that they're able to conduct business and keep a good standing with the state and other governing bodies. So you might be asking, how do I find out everything that I need to know? For what permits do I need for my business, certificates? Is there something for my local county? Is there something for my state specific to, in this case, Amazon? And the thing that I did, which kind of alleviated a lot of that stress and kind of that struggle, was when I signed up with my LLC for $99 extra, I had a third-party company go out and find all the permits and extra things that my business need to stay compliant with my state and my locality. And they did a very good job, and we're going to be going through kind of everything that they found and walking through how to get all of that set up. Now, the biggest thing to keep in mind with this is the ones that I needed for my business, me being in Wisconsin, may be very different than how you do it in your state. Basically, the two things that I needed was, since I reside in Wisconsin and actually formed my LLC in Wisconsin, I'm going to be filing my taxes with Wisconsin, so I need to register my business. I have to do a business tax registration for the state of Wisconsin. That kind of just sets up my profile for filing the taxes with them. But what the third-party company also found was I do need to have a sales tax kind of permit for any retail-related items that I'm going to sell. And this will be something that I'll kind of expand on later, because there's a big thing with sales tax, and there's a lot of questions on sales tax. I'll be going through that in one of my future videos when I actually have a little bit more information on that. But the big thing with sales tax is wherever you have what's called nexus, meaning that you have a physical presence or an economic presence in that state. If you conduct business and you make sales to people within that state that you have a presence in, you basically have to collect sales tax from that state. And there's a lot of different rules, a lot of different things with that. But the big thing that you need to keep in mind is just to kind of start out, whatever state kind of you reside in or your business resides in, make sure that you have a sales tax permit with that state. And then the third and final thing that I needed was I need to fill out an employer form, which basically was how many employees do I have? What are their wages? Things like that, all for kind of unemployment insurance and workers' compensation to see if that would be required. So the first thing with the business tax registration is this is going to be for really any state. There's no state that is now required to have a business tax registration, because whether you are filing your income taxes or you are filing for a sales tax permit, regardless, you need to have a tax identification number for that state. And the easy way to kind of find this is if you just Google business tax registration and then kind of like insert state here, so business tax registration Wisconsin or business tax registration like Minnesota or whatever your state happens to be, it should pull it up as one of the top results. It should be kind of the Department of Revenue that shows up for that particular state. Go ahead and click on that, and then it should lead you to where you can file online for a business tax registration. Now, a lot of the formats and a lot of the requirements for each state are going to be very different. So what I'm basically going to be doing is I'm going to walk through how it is for Wisconsin, but just be aware your state may be very different. It may be very similar, but I'm kind of just going to do a walkthrough just to give you an overall idea of how the process is going to look like.
Wisconsin sales tax registration, because most likely this is how you're kind of proceed to go ahead, because a lot of the states you're going to be actually going for sales tax, not income tax. So usually you just kind of type it in as that. The very first result, DOR, Department of Revenue Sales and Use Tax, Wisconsin Department of Revenue. That's the one I want. I'll go ahead and click on that. And then when it takes me to the home page, really all you're kind of looking for is an area that says registration. I mean, this might be in like a lot of different areas depending on the state, but you're just looking for registration and you're looking for some fashion of applying or applying online, something along those lines. So we have apply online in the middle here. I'll go ahead and do that. And then take a look here, online registration. So register by clicking on one of the following links. If you are a sole proprietor, a non-Wisconsin LLC or corporation, partnership, nonprofit. I am, I guess, technically a sole proprietor, used as like a single member LLC, but you would do this exact same thing if you happen to again, be living outside Wisconsin, but you happen to have your stuff shipped to an Amazon warehouse that happens to reside in Wisconsin, you do this exact same thing. So that meets our criteria. We'll click this revenue link on the right-hand side to actually begin the application process. All right, so take a look at this. Are you registering this business for the very first time? Usually 99% of you are going to be yes, it's a first-time registration and probably an only-time registration. So fine, don't want that. So we'll go ahead and click next. All right, so for the business information, this is kind of an important designation that you want to get correct. The gut reaction is to do a limited liability company if you happen to have an LLC. However, if you happen to be a single member LLC, you are labeled as disregarded for income tax as well as, in this case, for sales tax. And all that really means is that when you're filing your sales tax return to the state, is that has to be labeled as kind of you personally or you individually. So in that case, if you happen to be a single member LLC, in this case for the state of Wisconsin, I would have to put sole proprietor and I would have to fill that out as if I were basically my own person. However, if you do happen to have a partnership LLC or an S Corp or any other variation that has more than one person, you will want to go ahead and do the limited liability company option. So I'm going to choose sole proprietor since I am a single member LLC. I'll go ahead and check to confirm. And what I'll be doing is I'll say, hey, I'm going to use my social security number, or if you happen to be outside the United States, your international tax identification number. So I'll do that and get that all typed in. Nice with that. Put in the legal name. Come on now. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and click next. All right, and then the next part is you do need to designate if you want to have any other permits. So the nice part about the business tax registration, it basically funnels you into maybe some applicable permits that you may also need. And the biggest one for Amazon FBA purposes is going to be a seller's permit. This basically acts as kind of like that sales permit, sales tax. So I'm going to go ahead and check on that. That will be needed. Now the difference between sales tax and use tax is the big thing with sales tax is if you are the person providing the product to another person within that state, there is going to be sales tax on that, so that's where kind of you need to have that sales tax permit. However, what use tax typically is going for is more so on the consumer side is if sales tax wasn't by chance collected, however, it should have been withheld. So think of something like if you are on Amazon and sales tax was not collected, technically you're supposed to have use tax on that, and you're supposed to pay that applicable tax that was missed to the state. That's kind of where that comes into play. So you should not have to worry about use tax. You should really only have to be worried about getting your seller's permit. So go ahead and do that, and I'll click next. All right. You do have the option to put a bank account routing number. Basically, this is a way to funnel your tax account with your bank account in case there's any fees that need to be had, or updating for information, payments, things like that. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to say we are going to skip it. And then the NAICS code, that is kind of the general kind of international codes for specific businesses. And for the internet retail, Amazon-ish, the code for that is going to be 454110, I do believe. Yep, so electronic shopping and mail order houses. Basically, Amazon is a big conglomerate of electronic shopping. So we're going to do that. Address, this is going to be where your actual kind of business presence is. So for me, I'm in the country of the United States. Let's see, I'm at 123 Main Street. No extra unit types, no extra identifiers. Put this down as Madison, Wisconsin. Let's do 5371. And good old Dane County. And I mean, if you have to put attention, you can put yourself, but that is not required. I don't necessarily care about it, so that's fine. You may get hit with this little message with the zip code. That's okay. Just go down to verify address, because Google and the internet knows you best. So they know that, oh, you actually meant this address. Yes, I did. Thank you, Google. I appreciate you. But that'll fix the zip code in there, and you should be all good to go with your address. Then you put the account contact person name. Again, in this case, you're kind of a single member LLC. It'll just be your name. Otherwise, if you are a partnership or S Corp, it's kind of whoever's going to be handling, I guess, this tax aspect with the account. You'll want to put their name in there. So get that in there, get that. Phone number, put something. Oh, it's phone type, never mind. So I just have a cell phone, so I put my cell phone in there. Good. Email, again, use your business email with this. That's kind of a good policy to have, is anything business related, use your business email, not your personal email. And then you can go on to the next step. So the ad location, this is going to be the actual physical address. I think I just mentioned that the other one was the physical address. The other one is going to be your mailing address, so where you actually want to receive information for that. This is going to be where your business is actually located. If you happen to have a trade name or like a doing business as, so some kind of like nickname, you can put that in there. Otherwise, if by chance you don't have a mailing address, that the mailing address and the physical address are the same thing. You just check that box. If they happen to be different, so a mailing address at a PO box, put that out in that last screen. Otherwise, if your physical address is somewhere else, go ahead and fill this out accordingly to get that set. For the sake of this, I'll just say both are one and the same. I'll check that box just for simplicity. For Wisconsin, they have a lot of kind of like specific county stuff and specific kind of things for Wisconsin. So this is where a lot of times things are going to differ. What you're going to find with a lot of states is there's a lot of different like county regulations. So if you are selling in this county, we collect for like food or clothing. But if you sell in this county, maybe it's there's like a sports facility, so they want to collect tax for that, or there's hotel fees, or you'll see really everything under the sun with that. So at this location, will you be selling food or beverages, automobile rentals, or lodging in Milwaukee County? I will not want to partake in that tax. Am I doing any of the rest of these? No, I am not. So I'm just going to say no to all those. No. Sell dry cleaning products? No. Voice communication? No. Premier resort area tax? Hell no. am I in any one of these for a local license? No, I do not need that. So that is all good to go. Got all the information with that, and then I can go to the next page. Now with the sale and use tax, a lot of times, I think this is very present on all the different states, is they want to have kind of an estimate of what's actually going to be happening for the year. So I really just lowball it with that, whatever is the least option. Don't put necessarily 0, but put it in like the 1 to 1,000 range, something like that. It might go over, that's okay. I mean, eventually they're going to get their taxes, but I just to throw something in there, I use the lowest option. Date first, Wisconsin taxable sales, lease, rental purchases will be made. I really don't know. If you have an estimate on kind of how quickly your business is going to go out, perfect, you can do that. But again, kind of like another thing with this is you want to have it at least some date before you're actually going to be collecting sales. So if you just put it as whatever the current date happens to be when you're registering, that should be more than sufficient. If you don't actually collect sales tax because you don't have any products out, that's okay. But eventually, once you do, you will have to remit those payments to the state. They'll be operated all year. For a lot of you, it's going to be yes. If you happen to be seasonal, you might have to put no and kind of do any adjustments with that. All right, prepare information. You get to put your name for the 3rd time into here. That's always fun. Literally the exact same things as before, which is always cool. Are you the person who will use my tax account for this business and review access requests to others? If you are sole proprietor, yes, you are going to one that's going to be primarily accessing this. However, if you by chance are the preparer, but you're preparing it for somebody else for really who knows what reason, you may have to put no there. But I'll do that, and then you'll kind of figure out what your username and password are going to be for this account. So you can pretty much just keep it very simple with that. What did I do before? Good, accepted it. That in there, get that email verified. And yet again, am I entering the exact same information I've done before? Always cool. Come on now. Ooh, secret question. What should it be? What city did you meet your spouse or significant other? Was the first pet? Grandmother's maiden name? Oh, there's so many to choose from. What school did you attend for 6th grade? What should I put? Oh, that's right. It's not going to show you. Never mind. That was going to be funny, but... Alright, so get that in there. Click Next after you confirm your secret question. And how are you going to pay for this? So Wisconsin has a $20 kind of filing fee for the tax registration. It could be $0 for your state. It could be $50, $100. So there might be some form of payments with that. What I kind of did with this is, again, kind of feeding into like our last video with the credit card, is if you by chance have not had any official documents from the state or a government or kind of some like official body of some sort to your PO address, I elected, you may want to do kind of just bill me or something like that, so we can at least have, in this case, the state of Wisconsin sends you a letter to your PO box to verify that, saying yes, this is official, yes, this is legitimate. In case, again, kind of in my case, I had to verify my PO box, and that was really the only thing I could go off of, is I needed that. So I used basically my business tax registration bill for that. They were able to accept that. The underwriters for the card accepted that. So you could do that. I mean, if you already have something that verifies your PO address, great. You could pay with credit card if you happen to already have your business credit card. That'll work just fine. Or if you happen to use your bank account, you have that set up, you do a direct debit to your bank account as well. So I'll just do bill me. Again, you're kind of typing out all your information. Total fee for this, just the $20. And then if you happen to have any other, I guess, attachments, I don't know why, but you can have some attachments in there. But then this basically completes the process for getting this filled out for the state of Wisconsin. All I have to do is click submit. They'll review it. Everything should be confirmed, and then they're going to send you your seller's permit and your tax registration documents in the mail to your mailing address, and then you are all set for that state.
So that was the walkthrough of getting your business tax registration for your applicable state. Again, this is going to be needed whether you are filing income taxes with that particular state or you perhaps are collecting sales tax from that state. Regardless, you're going to need a tax ID number. Now, to elaborate a little bit more on the sales tax, again, really the biggest thing is that word nexus. And you're going to probably see this a lot on the internet. And there really is a lot of confusion on this because states kind of really have a lot of variance on what they define as nexus in pertaining to Amazon. Because kind of the biggest difference that a lot of states are kind of waging kind of war on is, even like me personally, if I have my business in Wisconsin, but I send my shipments to be stored at an Amazon warehouse in Texas, does that constitute an actual kind of warehouse presence in the state of Texas? And that's kind of where there's a lot of confusion, is kind of some say it's really not, because I don't have a business there. I don't actually own the warehouse. Amazon owns the warehouse, but my shipment and my products are there. So there's a lot of kind of debate in court and a lot of states kind of lobbying for that, because if the government can kind of set that in, everything has to be collected sales tax on, even if it's stored in someone else's warehouse, that's a lot of money that the states can get. So just be aware with that. It's highly recommended to have a sales tax permit with all those different states, because even though it may not be technically official now, even though it's highly recommended to do that, eventually all that will be made official, because the states will eventually get their money and they'll eventually have all that in play. All right, so the last little thing I talked about was the employer report for, in this case, the state of Wisconsin. And what that was particularly dealing with was workers' compensation and unemployment compensation. Basically, it's really just protecting employees, which is a good thing. We want to have that. But for me and probably a lot of you really are probably not going to have employees, so the filling out of this form is going to be pretty quick and easy with that. I'll be going through that in a couple seconds here, but basically don't be alarmed with that. If you don't have any employees, you're not paying anybody kind of like significant wages, a lot of this you can kind of just fill out as 0 or none, and then it's basically just kind of sending it to the appropriate mailing address for that, just so they have that on file, but then you won't have to worry about payroll taxes, things like that. However, if you do happen to have employees, or maybe you are registered as an S Corp, and then like you yourself are an employee and then some other people are employees, things like that, this will be an important part. You do need to have this in. You do need to be paying payroll taxes as well as workers' comp and unemployment compensation, so that you abide by the laws and the employees are fairly treated in case they get let go or something happens and they get injured, things like that. So it's just a formality with that. But again, for a lot of you, you're probably just going to be a single owner or a partnership where both of you are the owners. You're not actually employees of the business, in which case a lot of that is going to function how I fill out the form right now.
All right, so again, pretty much all of you are going to have that business tax registration that I walked through before. But depending on kind of your state, you might have this employer report for workers' comp and unemployment compensation for that. However, you may not, and again, you may have ones additional to this that I happen to not have for the state of Wisconsin. But for the employer report, I just again Googled employer report Wisconsin. It was the very first one that showed up. So I go ahead and click on that. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to take a look at the attachment, get that opened up. All right, so for the form, again, if you have no employees, this should be very simple. Again, if you are the single member LLC person or you're in a partnership with that, really anything where kind of you remain as the owner, you do not actually work for the company or you do not have others that work for the company, again, it should be pretty easy for filling out. So even kind of for Wisconsin, it gave us this little kind of notice at the very top saying, hey, if you have no employees, only answer questions 1 through 13 and sign. Again, trying to make it very easy with that. So basically, for kind of filling this out, legal name, again, if you are an LLC, you need to have that LLC part in there. So good old company LLC. Trade name, if you happen to have a nickname, you can put that down again. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and put, never mind, not that. If you happen to have a P.O. box, we'll go ahead and put that down there. P.O. box 1, 2, 3. City, we'll put down this in again, Wisconsin. And 53701. The federal ID number, that is going to be your EIN number. So I know kind of what I mentioned before with the tax registration, that if you were kind of a single member, you have to kind of set it up as if you were a sole proprietor. With anything employer related, this is going to have to be kind of your LLC that's setting this up. So you will want to have your EIN number here, but really for anything that's tax related, that is going to be a sole proprietorship kind of format, an individual format using your social security number or ITIN number for kind of anything tax related. But again, specifically for like workers' comp, this employer report is the employer is the LLC, so we need to fill it out using the LLC information. So you put your couple of dashes in there. All right, good to go with that. Name of contact person. Good old Connor down in there. All right. Again, best practice, put your company email in there so you have all business correspondence going to the same email. Business telephone number. Briefly describe your business activity. I just put e-commerce retailer. That should really be all you need, and they should know what you're talking about. You are basically selling stuff online, e-commerce. Location of the business, if different than address above. I left that blank because that is the location of my mailing, and that's where I want all my mail to be received at, so that should be good. Type of ownership, again, for this, since this is an employer kind of overseeing HR type thing, it is going to be a LLC or kind of whatever your governing kind of structure is. So what I did is I put the limited liability company for that, and then I did register with the state of Wisconsin for that. That's where I filed my LLC. So I have Wisconsin as the state of registration. If you happen to, and again, this is just for if you have employees or you happen to be filing within the state of Wisconsin. So do that, and then provide the names and social security numbers of the sole owners, partners, members, or corporate officers. So again, I am the owner. I am technically a member as well. I own 100% of this company. So I go ahead and put that in here as long as I get in the correct format. Always fun with that. Good old social security number. Okay, I guess no dashes for that. Position title, done. Owner, always cool to put down. And ownership percentage, 100% with that. As far as this corporation section, if you are a nonprofit for whatever reason, you can do that. Probably a majority of you are not going to be. But if you do happen to be a S Corp, you will want to put yes for that. They do need to kind of have that on file. Basically, if the LLC is not going to be treated as either a partnership or a sole proprietorship, it needs to be as a S Corp or a corporation. You will want to put yes to that. Again, for me, I am a single member LLC. I'm not doing the S Corp designation, so Actually, I don't even fill that out. Sorry about that. You do not fill this out again. If you're only filing as a corporation, you'd fill that out. So disregard that. Skip that if you're a single member or just a regular partnership. So back with this, have you paid employees for work performed in Wisconsin? Again, I am the owner. I'm not an employee of the company. So nope, never had an employee. Do you expect to pay wages? Nope. You continue to have paid employees. I thought this question was funny. If no, date you last had employee? Never. And then, did you acquire any portion of an already established business? Nope. That's weird. There we go. So again, don't fill out any of that. Did you transfer your business? Me, I did not. Do you have or have you had any employees working for you outside of Wisconsin? No, I have not. And that's quick verification. Yep, that takes us through question 13. So again, I have no employees. At that point, I would be done. I can go all the way down to the bottom and I can sign it, what my position is. So my signature, owner, print out my name, and then date that all of that was completed. Now, as far as kind of the rest of this goes, if you happen to have employees, you'll have to get a little bit more detailed on that. Say yes to all the correct questions. I don't believe any of you are really going to have to transfer your business or acquire any businesses. You probably are okay to leave those blank unless, again, for whatever reason that applies to you. But the majority of these are kind of going through what you're going to need for unemployment compensation or workers' compensation with that. So like, for example, if you have any employees in any one of the categories, check the ones below. So partners in a general partnership, if you happen to not have an LLC, but a lot of you are going to be an LLC with either a single member or perhaps a partnership, so you can check that. So those are going to be kind of the two ones with that. Maybe you have corporate officers. In most cases, you won't. If your business is taxed as a sole proprietorship, check if any of the following family members receive wages from you. So this, if I happen to have employees, this would be the case for me, since a single member LLC is taxed as a sole proprietorship. No, I would not have any one of those in there, but you would check that if applicable. If anything, how many weeks did you have full-time or part-time? Kind of enter that information. What are your gross payroll wages that you had for the last kind of 3 years? You'll enter that information. If you haven't had any payroll quite yet, this would technically be 0. But I mean, again, there's kind of like those other separate subsections, and again, they just want to make sure that all your employees get the proper benefits that are needed in case for whatever reason they get let go.
So that is it. Thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed it or got some value out of it, be sure to click the thumbs up button and let me know down in the comments section if you have any questions on this. I know a lot of this is confusing and a lot of kind of what do I apply for, what do I not apply for, what do I need to stay compliant. I know there's a lot of questions with that, so be sure to send me an email or leave me a comment down below. I'd love to help as much as I can. Again, I'm not a tax expert, but I can at least try and guide you in the right direction in case you have questions. Be sure to click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.